All of us went to school to become doctors, healers, but not necessarily becoming businessmen or women. You've heard that tracking data is important to growing your practice. But have you ever asked yourself, what is the best way to achieve data-driven growth? In this video, I'm going to share with you what every chiropractor needs to know. In today's videos, I'm going to drop gold and give you my best secrets of how to turn your data into dollars, how to get your team laser focused on the thing that's going to change everything in your practice, how to actually build gamification into your practice, and then of course, how to buy back your time with an incredible rhythm that you're going to put in your practice where your team becomes responsible to drive growth. So let's jump into this very first principle with how do we actually turn data into dollars? And this comes down to really analyzing what we call the prime mover. This is the thing that the team all agrees on is the number one thing that will change your practice. Think about your practice as a waterfall. We actually have systems in the practice that feed each other. The marketing system feeds into the front desk new patient system. That feeds into the exam and case acceptance system. That feeds into the next system of the front desk established patient system that drives your treatment and production. And then of course your final system, which is making sure we're collecting the financial system for all of those services. There's data, rich data inside of each one of those systems. But that's a lot of data to measure, and oftentimes it's easy to get overwhelmed or what we call paralysis by analysis. So I just want your team to become very aware, in fact, focused on the one thing, the one weakness in your practice, that if we could fix that, it would actually have an impact on all the downstream systems. And when the team knows that and becomes focused on that, that's why we call it the prime mover, the number one thing. It's not going to be the prime mover forever. It's going to be the prime mover until you fix it. And when you fix it, we're going to make sure you have a system in place to keep it healthy and high. And so knowing that prime mover is number one. It is the key that's going to help us understand the next three steps. But before I jump into step number two, I just got to remind you that this is a community of doctors who are passionate about patient care. And if you want your patients on more medications, if you want your patients using unnecessary surgeries as healthcare, then don't like and don't subscribe to this channel. In fact, don't share it with anybody, because we would hate the word to get out of how to grow more profitable practices that impact more patients' lives. But if you are one of those doctors that are passionate and fit in this community, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, guys. Make sure that you're getting notified of great content that's coming out, and don't be stingy with it. Share it with your friends, share it with your colleagues. Let's build this community of data-driven docs who want to change our profession and unify it so that we can actually make movement in the number of people that are actually utilizing our services so that we can save them and build a true healthcare system. All right, number two, we're going to dive into helping the team make decisions by what we call lead measures. If we take the same example of the new patient acquisition cost, we have to teach the team to look upstream to the prime mover. Upstream means, what are all the ways we're getting new patients? Well, in this example, this practice was actually becoming very dependent on very expensive marketing, TV commercials, radio ads, Facebook ads. They were spending a tremendous amount of money to acquire a new patient, and they were closing enough new patients to keep feeding the machine. It just wasn't scaling the practice. There wasn't enough profits to reinvest and scale. So we really had to teach the team and sit down with them and let them strategize what are other ways we could be getting and acquiring new patients for lower costs. The team was amazing. They started throwing out better ideas about internal referral systems, about working with other providers, about actually doing social media that was more organic. And as they started implementing those things, their new patient acquisition cost literally cut in half. Half of what it was costing to acquire a new patient means that your marketing budget doubled. We're able to go out and not reduce the marketing spend. We're actually able to double the number of new patients coming into the practice, and imagine the downstream effect that that had on every system of the practice. And that is why this system is so powerful. And so before I go on to tip number 3, I would love to know what you're doing in your practice to lower your new patient acquisition costs. What's been the number one thing that you've done that has changed everything for you? Share that below, comment. Again, this is a community. We need to support each other and share our secrets because we are here as a community to change the population utilization of our services. Because we are an abundance mindset community, not a scarcity mentality, so share your secrets below. I'm giving you everything I have. So don't be stingy with your best secrets. Comment below. My tip number 3 is a powerful one, and this is what we call having a team scoreboard, because your team loves to think strategically. In fact, the art of gamification requires that the team knows the rules to the game. If we're gonna win the game, we gotta know the rules of the game so we can work on the strategy to win the game. And so a simple scoreboard has the main KPIs, key performance indicators, for each system of your practice, where we can see them on a scoreboard. They're kind of like the vital signs of the human body. Are all the systems of the body at least functioning? Are any of them in crisis? Do they need our attention? And that is what a team scoreboard does. At a quick glance, we immediately know the score and what needs our attention. And so tip number 3 is get that scoreboard built for you and your team. Tip number 4 is how to gain back your freedom. How do you have more time to work on the practice than in the practice? And this is where we want to use these 3 drivers to now open up our 4th opportunity, which is what we call our cadence of accountability. The cadence of accountability is a regular team meeting where the team is coming to talk about the scoreboard, to talk about the prime mover, how it's progressing, to develop the strategy of how to look upstream at the lead measures and come up with the game plan. We need an opportunity to train on the skill set that's going to move the prime mover. How do we close the skill gap? And that's regular training during a team meeting. We need that cadence of accountability where the team is building a bond together because they're strategizing together. They're coming up with the solutions together. By them doing that, we're actually training them to be a team, a unified team that has each other's backs, and that you are leading that team. You are a leader. You're not doing everything for them. If you keep coming up with a strategy, if you have all the answers, they will be too afraid to make the decisions to move the prime mover. They will have to come to you for permission. They will expect you to take action, and that isn't freedom. That equals actually handcuffs to the practice. So the key to this is to create this regular weekly meeting where you guys are developing a team strategy framework and you are leading the discussion and not having to be the answers for everything. These are the 4 secrets to building a data-driven growth practice. And if you love this kind of content, oh my gosh, you need to join our free community, which is a Facebook group called The Data-Driven Practice. Come join us. It doesn't cost you a dime, and we're gonna pour into you how to run your practice by data-driven decisions, where you will actually hang out with docs just like you who are passionate about breaking through 7-figure ceilings, building incredible teams, and making an impact in our world with phenomenal practices that are going to lead to true healthcare.